Now on Podcast City Radio, it is time for Peter Salerno and Happy Business Radio. A captivating hour of fun, interesting guests, comments and advice from business professionals, leaders and entrepreneurs. We discussed ways to start, build and increase your business. On Happy Business Radio, Podcast City Radio and the Podcast City Podcasting Network. Now let's welcome Peter Salerno.
Yes, thank you. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And the reason why we say that, all our regular listeners know that we have now over 50 countries listening to us. And so thank you so much to everybody that's sharing it. And of course, you can hear the podcast in your own time zone anytime you like. And that's the beauty of it, rather than being on the radio, because you can only hear it when it's being aired. So, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that's sharing it. Now, this last couple of weeks have been really busy. It's been incredible. I've had a lot of people send me messages, and I've got a message from Rwanda in Africa and another one from Ghana in Africa, and they're both saying the same thing, that they were saying how this podcast, the beauty of it, that you can start it, stop it, and go back and listen to it again. Because apparently, Ron, I'm not sure you know, when we were doing calls to Ghana, the guy was saying how their internet is so slow over there in some places. You know, they've got some good connections in other places, but they've got like what we used to have, the old-fashioned dial-up and that sort of stuff. So, and unfortunately, in some of the countries, internet is slow, but also very expensive. So, but they saying that this program, thanks to Ron and Karen from Podcast City, it makes it really worthwhile listening to. So to get a message like that, it's sort of, you know, quite heartfelt. And I really appreciate it. Now, I've also had quite a few messages from Mexico this last month or so, because one of our friends who has just written a book has gone over there. And while she's over there, she must have mentioned the fact that she was on our show, or mentioned the fact that, you know, and we've had listeners from Mexico in the past. So thank you so much to everybody over there. And it's just so good. Just this very afternoon, I was talking to a chap who is an Indian chap who has a business here in Adelaide. And he was saying how when he was studying, somebody had sent him something about it. And that's like 4 years ago or more since we started doing the podcast. And he's been listening to it ever since. So, you know, that's how good it is. And that's how lucky we are to have such great guests. And this evening, I am so pleased because I have a guest that I've known for a long, long time and very highly respected in the business. And my guest this evening is Evan Jackson. Evan Jackson has been in the insurance industry, or the insurance brokerage industry. He runs a company called Guardian Insurance, and he's been doing that for 30 years plus. So, Evan, welcome to the program.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you. Look, Evan, you know, I've had the pleasure of having you on the radio a few times in the past, but thank you so much for coming in this evening. I know it's sort of how busy you are. I really appreciate that. So thanks for coming in. Look, let's start by just you telling us what your business is today, and then we'll talk about how you got to it and what's coming up next, because I'm excited about all that. So explain for the benefit of our listeners what your business is today, because somebody somewhere else in the world could do the same thing.
You could. That's a very interesting question. What is my business today? Well, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we were insurance advisors. And when I say insurance advisors, you know, car insurance, house insurance, business insurance.
Yeah.
Today, in the world of financial services, we're more than that, because people want advice, not only on insurance, but, you know, you get all these legal questions thrown at you because insurance is all about contract law.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, you know, we identify risks in people's lives, and we work out what part of that risk they want to carry and what part they want to pass to a third party, being an insurance company.
Yeah.
And that's put it in the simplest way.
Yeah. So for the benefit of you actually organize insurances for everything, businesses, homes, you know, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And you've been doing that as a broker from different insurance companies that you broker for.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been in business now?
Started the business basically 11 o'clock, August 21, 1991.
Wow, there you go. You've got even the time.
Well, I walked out, had enough of the boss.
So you started your own business.
So I walked out and walked down the street and started Guardian.
Good on you. Good on you. Obviously, you came from a banking background.
No, it's always been insurance, but, somewhere along the way, you banking and finance gets mixed up. I started with Royal Insurance in 1971 as a kid, and there I went to a company called National General, which was owned by the National Bank. So there was a bit of a crossover there with the bank and insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zurich Australian bought National General from the National Bank, and I finished up with Zurich in 1991.
So basically, you've been as an insurance agent or insurance consultant all that period. Now, you've grown fairly big, and you've got quite a big staff, haven't you?
Yeah, so my wage bill indicates. Look, we have, I think it's around 32, 33 employees at the moment, and growing.
And growing, yes. See, I mean, a lot of people that are consultants have remained consultants by themselves and whatever, but you've actually got people working for you, and so they're on a payroll or commission structure.
Payroll.
Yeah, payroll. So what happens is, a lot of people in the past and in different companies and also in different countries, their agencies work a little bit different. I've had the pleasure of working in Asia and through Southeast Asia and even in Dubai doing presentations. So I get to see how those companies work, and as agents and master agents and master agents. And, a lot of those people have an agency within an agency, but you just have them as employees. So really, people listening to this now, it really doesn't matter what country they're in. They could look at starting something like you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what this program's all about, is trying to help people, trying to pick ideas that people can use, trying to help, so you learn something so you can use it yourself, or benefit from it, Now, let me just go back, and we'll come back to what you're doing next, because that's exciting as well. But let's just go back. Like, you come from a Greek background?
So, yes, Greek heritage.
Greek heritage, yeah. But I believe you were born here.
So was my mother.
Yeah, okay. So, but what I'm trying to say is, like, when you were young, did you think that you were going to do that? What was your idea? What sort of things did you want to be, Because that's important as well.
As a kid, I wanted to be a vet.
Yeah.
And to be a vet, you had to go and live in Melbourne or Perth, and Dad was working for Hammer Brothers at the time on $120 a week. And obviously couldn't afford it. So I said, I might as well go and work. So I left school, fourth year high or fourth year leaving, whatever it was. I was 15 years old. Went and worked with Dad in his factory, and I did 27 hours overtime, and I got paid $13.60.
I know those days.
And I said to my dad, George, I can't do this, mate. Can't do this. So Mum suggested I go and work with her at the Apollo Kitchen in Myers. Myers had a restaurant up on the third floor. Did 14 hours overtime and earned $12.80. And I said, my dream, my first dream was to buy this brown corduroy Levi jacket.
Yeah.
Couldn't even afford to buy this jacket. I thought, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, so if you didn't finish high school in those days and go to uni, you'd either work for a bank or an insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went to have all these interviews. I was having about 6 interviews a day. And then one day I was finishing up to go home, and there was a bus stop in Grenfell Street, and behind me was a glass door with gold writing. I thought that looks impressive. Walked through the door and said, I want a job. Got the job, went home, said to Mum, I got a job. She said, where are you working? I said, an office. Who knows? And in January, got a letter saying, welcome to Royal Insurance, and there you go.
There. Well, see, that in itself inspires me to think, wow, anybody else can do that. This is where I say that people, it doesn't matter where you are, what country you're in, and where you're listening to this from, you can share this idea that you can just keep going. I mean, how many people today, would go out and get 6 interviews? It's possible. It's not that it's impossible. It's still possible. But most of them don't even get that many a week, let alone that many a day.
But let's face it, I was 15.
Yeah.
I was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, I had no limitations in my head.
Yes.
Because I'm a great believer, you are what you think.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. That is so true. And the people around you influence you so much that you start doing what they're doing instead of doing what you want to do.
I mean, it's good that I'm hard of hearing. And, for me, I couldn't be a vet, so it was a question of just getting a job, and at 15, it's not about career. It's not about anything but the money.
Yes.
You know, anything over $15 was going to be good for me.
Yep.
Considering what I'd earned from where mum and dad had worked. And lo and behold, my wages was $75 a fortnight. So
wow.
I still had change left over, and I bought that Levi jacket.
Good on you. See, this is the thing. A lot of people, like you said, are limited by their own beliefs or the beliefs of people around them.
Yeah, the beliefs. Look, certainly. I mean, you know, people take on and what other people say to them, and at the end of the day, I think it's wise to listen. But you know, at the end of the day, it's you're the one who pays for the consequence. So.
Well, that's what I'm trying to encourage people to do all the time, to take advice from people such as yourself who have achieved something in their lives or right from a very early age had that drive to go out and do it. Because a lot of people are stopped by their thoughts or say, you can't do it because you got this background, or you can't do it because of that background. And, you know, at the age of 15, you decided to go out and get a job, and you just kept going and kept going till you got it.
Strangely, someone mentioned the same thing to me not long ago and said, well, you know, when I went into business and what have you, they said, oh, what about if you failed? And failure's never been
an option.
not an option. It's never been a consideration. Yeah. I mean, you know, like when I played soccer as a kid, I didn't run out into the field with any other thing than to win.
Yeah.
So for me to go into business or do whatever I do throughout life,
yes,
failure is not a consideration.
Yeah.
And I suppose you've got to define what is failure.
Yes. Well, the thing is, in business, there's nowadays, especially as a business consultant and helping other people to set up a business, I say you've got to have all these strategies in place, you know. And it's funny because this afternoon, before I came in here, I was doing a session with somebody about that very thing, about the strategies. And he said, oh, look, when I started my business in my back shed. And my office was the back shed. You know, I didn't have room in the house even, you know. He said, that's where I set up my office. I worked from there, and I was embarrassed to tell people that. And then I did this. And I said, well, obviously now he's got a much more professional office. He's, you know, built it the way he wanted it, you know. And I said, so at the beginning, you had no strategy. I said, that's all. He's got these 5 points up there on the board that he's teaching all his staff. I said, but you didn't have any of those. He said, well, no, I didn't know, you know, and that's just it. You just don't know.
And sometimes not knowing is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying it isn't, but you can learn.
Sometimes not knowing that there's a boogeyman on the other side of that door is a good thing.
Yes, yeah. But I think, like you just said, you know, you can learn so much from other people. You don't have to experience it yourself. You know, and like you say, if you go out to play a game, you're going out there to win. You don't want to go out there to say, oh, well, we're going to lose this game. You don't go, you know.
No, I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've lost before you've even started.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Horrible.
I mean, that would be totally defeatist. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that we talk to every day and regularly tell us that, oh, what's the use of trying? You know?
Oh, I think it just depends on how you measure success.
Yeah. Listen, I tell you what, we'll take a break and we'll come back and talk about how you measure success and what drives or, you know, where that drive comes from. Thank you very much. You're listening to Happy Business Radio with Peter Salerno on Podcast City Radio.
Get ready to jot down some fantastic tips and advice with Peter Salerno from Happy Business Radio.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Look, today I'm really privileged to have a special guest, Evan Jackson. Evan Jackson and I have known each other for quite a long time, and I've had the pleasure of talking to him before on radio. But Evan is very, very successful in his business. He's an insurance broker, and he's been going for 30 years plus. So, you know, he's a wealth of knowledge and expanding his business. So we'll talk about that soon, about the next expansion to his business, which is incredible because a lot of people think, oh, no, you're at an age where you've got to retire now. And he's starting his next stage in his life, which is fantastic. So, Evan, I know that you've been in business for a long time. So I'm going to ask you to give us some business advice. So what's one of your tips or advice that you'd like to share with the world?
A couple of weeks ago, I'm in the habit of looking at TED Talks. Have you heard of TED Talks?
Yes.
And they had this medical guy on, and he said the two most vulnerable time in a human being's life is when you're born and the day you retire. So my advice is don't retire.
Don't retire. Look, I can actually concur with that. You know, because I've, gone past the so-called retirement age, and most people that I speak to, most, successful people or smart people, and I say that, when they retire, they get to retirement age, they might leave one business and go on to another, or they're doing something else, or they always tell me, I'm busier now than I ever was.
Yeah, I've met these people.
Yeah.
They're delusional.
Yeah. No, but see, a lot of people take on other things. They do more of their hobbies. They do more of their sports. They do more of their things that they would have loved to do more of during their life, So they never really retire. They're just busy doing a lot of other things. But I understand what you're saying about, at birth, it's a very vulnerable period. And of course, when you retire, because a lot of people lose their identity when they retire. And we've just gone through that with COVID. A lot of people are still struggling, not knowing who they are. They don't want to go back to the same job. They don't want to go back to the same factory or the same office or working for the same boss, so we get calls regularly to do coaching and counseling. My wife is a hypnotherapist, a clinical hypnotherapist. So she gets quite a few clients coming to her now saying, I don't know who I am. What am I doing? I've lost my identity, or what do I do next,
Well, they haven't really lost their identity. What they've lost is their purpose.
Yes.
Purpose is what gets us out of bed.
Yep.
Purpose is what keeps the buzz in what we do.
Yep.
Life's a pinball machine.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
And
you're down the hole, or you get a bonus round. An extra
spin.
ball.
Free spin.
Yeah, free spin.
Yep.
But having a purpose is so important. Doesn't matter whether it's business, whatever you do in life. The confusion is you have this job, and I never forget when I would have been 16. I was at the Royal Insurance, and there was a guy called Malpas, Mr. Malpas. I can't even remember his first name because in those days you didn't call the boss by his first name. Yeah. Mr. Malpas.
Yeah.
And I was sitting next to him, and the highlight of his weekend was that he got into his septic tank and cleaned it
out. Oh, my God. Yeah.
And all he would talk to me other than his septic tank was about retirement. I thought, is that really what this is about? So for me, retirement, if that's your only focus, it means you shouldn't be where you are.
Yep.
Because
you're lost.
You're actually retiring from life.
Yeah.
So after 50 years, you've worked and done all this, and then all of a sudden, the robotic life you've left has ended.
Yep.
And you don't know what to do.
Well, I get a lot of people tell me that, just get him out of the house. I want him out of the house because he just sits around all day, or he's done all the gardening, he's done all this, and he's bored, all the rest of it, I mean, that's why they've got things like men's shed and things like that. A lot of people robotically get up at the same time every morning, go to the same factory or the same office, do their paperwork, do their stuff, and hop on the same bus on the way home, or the same train or whatever, or drive, the same way, and then just get there, park their car and just walk in, Nothing's different. Nothing changes. And
successful people don't retire.
Well, no.
They just don't. I mean, look at
Ron.
Murdoch.
Yeah,
look at Ron. Successful people don't retire because their purpose in life is what they do.
Yeah, they enjoy it.
They're not, we do what we do, and the byproduct of that is what we earn.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever entered into business on the basis that, I would be as financially benefited as I am, in the sense that, I did it because I wanted to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being happy was so important to me. Because when I left Zurich, I was on, I was on a package of about $100,000 a year. Might have been a bit less than that with card, this, that. Yeah. But that's 1991. That was a lot of money.
That's a lot of money then.
But
it's a lot of money now.
But I wasn't happy.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just got up and walked out.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, over 30 years ago now that I started the Laughter Clubs of Australasia here in Adelaide. I was doing, again, I was mentioning it this afternoon because I was doing what Patch Adams did in America, and I became a clown doctor. I was doing clown doctoring here, and it gave me so much joy. People say, would you come to this hospital? Would you come to a nursing home? Would you come here? I say, yeah, look, I'm looking for places to go because I enjoy so much doing that. So for me, it was never about the pay, although they were happy to pay me. Most of the times I'd donate it back to the service club that hired me, for example, I didn't always take the money because I knew that it was going to the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis clubs, or one of the other service clubs that organise these things. And I'd say, look, you keep the money for your fund, But it's about enjoying life. And like you said, most business people who are successful, right, don't look at retirement. They say, what can I do next? Or how can I handball it to somebody else to do, and I think I learned this from you as well a long time ago. You said that if your business can run without you, then you've got a good business.
Yeah, look,
I remember you actually said that last time at one of the interviews.
At this stage of my life, it's all about working on the business.
Yeah.
Because, you start off the business as the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
And once you're able to clone yourself within the business structure and you get people working within that framework and delivering those principles that are important to you, then it works.
Yeah. One of the things we were going to talk about was how do you measure success? I think, you've been in business for a long time. You've seen a lot of businesses come and go. You've done insurance for a lot of businesses that have come and gone. So how do you measure success?
Well, it's certainly not money.
Yes.
Money is a result, but it's not
the byproduct.
It's a byproduct of your work. I'm not a person who believes in luck or anything like that. You've got to put in the hard yards. But my measure of success is doing my best. Simple as that. And I'm pretty straight with myself if I've done my best.
Yeah.
And that's my measure. I don't sit there and pound myself. I'm not scared of failure because at the end of the day, it's like I can jump 10 centimetres, whatever that is in inches.
Yeah.
If you're going to ask me to jump, 11 centimetres, well, there's a good chance I'm not going to be able to do it, but I'll give it a bash. Yeah. When I was at school, I was a pretty good sprinter, 100, 200 metres. I did really well in the high school championships. But the minute I went past 200 metres, guess what?
It's a different race.
Get out the oxygen bottle. But I did my best.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you can ask of people. It's when, even with my own staff, I say to them, all I expect from you is to do your best.
The best, yeah. I think to encourage people to do that today is like everybody that's listening to this is our message. Just try your best. Just keep doing your best, and get help. Don't be afraid of asking for help. And like I said, this afternoon, it was really interesting because there was a team of people that I was working with, and a couple of the guys says, but, if we ask for help, they think that we're not very good.
Well,
I said, well, if you don't ask for help, you're not going to be very good.
Well, there's 24 runners of the Melbourne Cup normally, and you don't get 24 winners.
Yeah.
Just getting there, like one of my staff, the lovely Shannon, last year was in a finalist as Broker of the Year, and it was down to the last three.
Yeah.
And she was a bit dejected because she didn't get the award. But I said to her, do you realise the enormity of what you've achieved?
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be, in Adelaide, there's got to be, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 insurance people, maybe more.
Yep.
And you just got in the final three.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Ron and Karen got awarded in the top three in Australia.
Wow.
Right. So they were top in South Australia, and they said, oh, well, I said, no, you're the top in South Australia. That's why you're going to Sydney. They got flown to Sydney, so Podcast City here from Adelaide started a business.
Fantastic.
And that's why they got to go to the Nationals, and then there was added the three of them. And I reckon they were second if it should have been first, but it doesn't matter. But, the fact is they were there in the top three in Australia.
And probably the key to that for me is you don't come back to do better to get past the people that beat you.
Yes.
You come back to do better to get past what you were actually doing.
Yes.
You use yourself as the measure. Forget what everyone else is doing.
Well,
just use yourself as the measure and say to yourself, well, what can I do better than what I did last year?
Yep.
The doctrine of continual improvement.
But yes, yeah. At the moment, we've got the Olympics coming up, right? And everybody in and around Adelaide, the swimming championships and different basketball and netball and soccer, and a lot of the female sports are coming up to as important as the male sports, because up until recently they'd talk about the male sports and not the female athletes. Well, last night I heard on the radio one of our top swimmers, as a female, and she's going in for the 5th time into the Olympics, and she's trying to do it. And it's about not winning or whatever, but it's about trying, like you just said, PB, which is personal best.
Yes.
You know, you got to do your personal best. Now, some people do their personal best at the Olympics. Some people do their personal best at the qualifications, and yet at the Olympics, they're not even as good. You know, and sometimes the other way around. But when you talk about something like the Olympics, which is the pinnacle of world sports, you know, and world athletics and that's where the guys that are there, male and female, all try their personal best.
Yeah, there's only one downside to all of that.
Yeah.
We need money.
Sorry?
We need money to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, there's a saying that goes, you know, find out what you love to do, then find someone to pay you to do it.
Yeah.
and I think that's so true. I think that's the one thing when you start off in whatever you're going to do, work out what you love to do, then go and do it, and then it's easy.
Good. We'll come back and talk about that as well. Thank you. You're listening to Happy Business Radio with Peter Salerno on Podcast City Radio.
Let's turn to Happy Business Radio's very own Peter Salerno for an inspiring business quote.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Look, earlier on I took an easy way out, and now I'm going to do the same thing because I have a very, very good business friend here. Evan Jackson is my special guest today, and he's been in business for a long, long, long time, and he really knows a lot about business. He's been a mentor, I know, to a lot of people, and a lot of people look up and say, wow, this is great. And I know that he used to write a lot of quotes or collect a lot of quotes and send them out through Facebook. And I always look forward to reading them because several of them I used to quote myself, you know, say, oh, look, this is what my friend Evan said. So, you know, Evan, give us one of your business quotes.
Just bear in mind, I've stolen them from someone else.
Oh, that's all right.
I am an insurance broker.
Yeah.
I think my favourite at the moment is eagles don't fly with pigeons.
Yes.
So it's so important to work out who you're going to hang around with because you are what you think.
Yes.
And if you hang around with negative people, guess what?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a disease, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's so infectious.
Yeah, and you don't even know that you're mimicking these people.
Yeah.
So I encourage people that are in business, try and engage yourself with positive people that have a positive outlook on life in business, and it will rub off.
Yep. I mean, the other way that I've learned that is to be with people who are doing what you want to do. You know, unfortunately, there's a negative side with that because a lot of thieves hang around with thieves.
Oh, look, and any fool can be unhappy.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a genius to be unhappy.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of courage and a lot of determination to be happy.
Yep.
Because
you got to work at it as well.
Look, there's always something happening. Someone's, you got news about a friend dying, getting sick.
Yeah.
Forgot to renew the insurance and you've had a car accident, and there's always something to be unhappy about. But, you're not going to be successful if you're going to be unhappy. You're just not, because your attitude's going to come out in every word that you say.
Yes.
It's going to come out.
And
people don't.
It's
people
infectious.
People want to be inspired.
Yes.
They don't want to be dragged down to your level.
Yeah. It's interesting because we talk about appearance, it's an energy that people, it's not until you go to an ashram or something like that you start to understand what yoga is all about or what the energy is all about and karma and all these things. But, you have to have that energy yourself. You have to be inspiring and, uplifting. If you're not motivated to talk to a client, the client will pick that up.
Oh,
if you're in a bad mood, what do you want? The client goes, whoa. And even if you're not saying, hey, what do you want? Your attitude's saying that. Your vibes are saying that, And I was selling insurance for a long, long time. And I know that a lot of people bought from people because they feel good to buy from you. They'll come back to you. We were talking off air how many clients you have, but how many you've had and kept them for that period of time.
Yeah, and look, and that's what's important because, look, I don't sell anything. I just identify a need for people and say, this is what you need, you want it.
Yeah.
And, I'd hate to think we would provide anything for a client that's not needed by that client. It's so important, because the basis of a good relationship is trust.
Yes. Oh, yes.
There is no trust. Well, you don't have much of a relationship, do you?
No, you can't have you can't have a relationship without
and look,
trust.
we all need to understand the power of words, and our words in particular, because if you think about it, how old are you, Pete?
I'm 73.
Okay. You just think about it. You're 73 years old.
Yep.
You know, you're around when man landed on the moon. You're around during Desert Storm.
Yep.
So every time you open your mouth, you have 73 years of experience.
Yes.
Comes out on autopilot.
Yep. Exactly.
And so when you talk, there's just a lot of information, a lot of experience, a lot of.
Yep.
So you need to be careful with the words you use.
Yeah.
And it's the same when we're dealing with clients or dealing with anybody, particularly the younger brigade today.
Well, I say it's sort of thing. It's like when people go to networking, they don't know how to network, but they come out and they tell you all about this stuff. And I call it verbal diarrhea. They go blah, 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 and give you all this stuff. You say, hey, I don't need to know that, you know. And I'm often saying to people, just tell them what they need to know. They don't need to know that the car starts like this and the wheels spin and the bearings go round. And, you know, all they want to know is they like the car, they like the colour, they like the seats, they put the key in, it turns and it goes. You don't have to explain to them how the engine works or how the pistons work. You know, they don't want to know that. They just don't.
Well, let me tell you the secret about networking. I never talk insurance.
Yeah.
I never carry a business card with me because people don't buy products. They buy people.
Yes.
So it's all about relationships.
That's for sure.
You know, and one thing Guardian is, it's a relationship business.
Yep.
And it will always be a relationship business. If you just want cheap insurance, don't ring us, for God's sakes. Do not ring us, because that's not what we're about.
Yeah.
We're about protecting you and your family.
Yep.
And if you're lucky enough, and I like you, you're going to get a cup of coffee and maybe a Monte Carlo.
Oh, wow, that's it. I'm coming for the Monte Carlo.
If you're not lucky, BYO. So, look, networking it's not about networking your product. It's about networking you as a person.
Yep.
Because people don't say, oh, go to that Holden, by the way, meet Evan.
Yeah.
They say, go and meet with Evan and have a chat.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I think networking works. Like, I don't have a business card on me right now.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, people really want me to do something, they'll find me.
Yes.
Particularly today. I mean, you know, there's so many ways of
tracking people
down, isn't there? You know, so and that's where, like, in business, you need to be developing brands, and brands are so important. It's easier to find a brand than it is to find a person.
Yep. I think what you've hit the nail on the head, and this is what I'm saying, depending what country you were in at the moment listening to this, because different countries are at different paces, you know, like some countries you need to still do that. Some countries you don't. Some countries never use business cards. You know, the European culture and stuff like that, they'll buy from you because they know your great-great-grandfather.
I think it's horses for courses. It's like when I sit down in my own arrogant way with my salespeople and they'll say to me, oh, look, we need corporate brochures.
Yeah.
And I say, you've already got them. And I said, well, what do you mean we've already got them? I said, isn't your client a corporate brochure?
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
Because the referrals that we get on a monthly basis, we can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
You know, I get people ringing me up and saying, look, can we advertise it? But we can't keep up with the referrals we're getting now. So, and why is that? Because
you're giving good service.
We're giving them good service and the service that matters. And, you know, and an example of that would be, you know, I had a client the other day who was ropeable because this assessor took his vehicle away to assess it. That was involved in some accident. Anyway, 2 months later, there was just no result on this car. And,
wow.
And in Guardian, I'm the client's advocate. That's what I am. Forget all my titles of managing director and mad Greek and all that. So I ring up the assessor and I said, look, can we borrow your car for 2 months? He said, what? I said, can we borrow your car for 2 months? You've taken this client's car away for 2 months.
Yeah.
I want you to see how it feels not to have a car for 2 months.
Yeah. That was good thinking.
Do you understand? Yeah. I said to him, you know, 1969, man flew to the moon in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You can't assess this car in 2 months.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
What's wrong with you?
Something's seriously wrong here.
Yeah.
Not interested in your excuses. That doesn't help the guy without the car, does it?
Yes.
So look, and I'm very performance driven.
Yeah.
Because I had a meeting with my claims people today, and I said, "There's only one question we've got to ask: what do we need to do to get this claim settled?"
Yes.
It's all we need to ask. Forget all the stuff.
Yep.
And if you need to don't be polite.
Yeah.
There comes a time where you've got to not be polite.
Yeah.
And I recall I had this issue with a house claim, and this person, the company, the head office, the claims area was in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
I actually flew to Melbourne, sat in the foyer till she spoke to me, the claims manager.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
Well, look, are we fair dinkum about? There's a good word, fair dinkum.
Fair dinkum. That's a good Australian word.
Yeah, it's a good Aussie word. If we're genuine about our clients
and helping them,
if you can't look at things and assess them with your own principles, there's something seriously wrong with you. And that's what I say to my claims people, because I don't pay my claims. Well, the money that's in the checkbook's not mine. It's the client's.
It's the client's money. It's actually interesting you say that, because it brought back a memory of one of my clients way back, where we did some insurance for them, and the claims guy wasn't going to pay it. Just said, "Oh, no, that's not a claim." And I said, "Of course it is. I mean, this, and this." And I quoted to him what it was. And then he said, no. I said, "Look, I need to speak to your manager." So I actually rang his manager, which is the manager of the claims department, because he was just a claims officer. So I rang the manager. I said, "Look, this is what happened." I said, "You tell me, what do you think?" And he said, "Oh, well, if you put it like that." I said, "Well, that's the way it should be." I said, like, we've insured on this grounds, da. Eventually he said, "All right, pay it." But the other guy got his nose put out of joint because he thought he was the final say, But from that one client, I tell you, I picked up about 10 straight away, right? Like almost within the next month, I had 10 extra people come to me because I helped that person so much. And I can give you some quotes, like I was here in Adelaide, and I moved up to Port Nalunga South, and the people at McLaren Vale, McLaren Flat and Blewett Springs, which is like, 50 Ks from Adelaide, I went up there to do a third-party property insurance. I got $1.50 for doing it. The guys in the office laughed at me and said, that's all. He said, "Oh, you're an idiot driving that much and back again." I said, "No, I'm giving my client some service." I said, like the other guy wouldn't go out there. The guy had trouble filling out the form. But from that one claim, I picked up everybody in that district, plus all their relatives in Adelaide.
Well, look, forget that it's insurance.
Yeah.
Just forget it. It's irrelevant. If we're talking to general business people, my advice to them, whether it's insurance or picking up rubbish or walking dogs, do what you're supposed to be doing. Deliver.
Service.
No, deliver.
Deliver, yeah.
Service service is a dirty word, isn't it? I mean, who doesn't use service? Have you ever heard anyone get on the radio and say, or on TV, "Oh, we don't give good service"? Everyone gives good service.
Or they confess to.
Oh, no, it's just, it's a con job.
Yeah.
Look, no, because they've got nothing else to offer. If they've got anything to offer, it's either price.
Yeah.
And if it's not price, what else is there?
That's right.
So you've got to deliver.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what type of business you have. You've got to deliver.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. Really good advice. Listen, we need to take another break, so we'll come straight back after this with more.
You have a lot of coffees, don't you?
No, we just need a break. You're listening to Happy Business Radio with Peter Salerno on Podcast City Radio. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for listening right through to the end now. We've got the last 5 minutes here, and I'm really so pleased, and it's a privilege for me to have Evan Jackson with me. He's a businessman that's been going for a long time. And like he mentioned earlier, it's not looking forward to retirement. He's looking forward to keep doing what he's doing and enjoying. And I think that's what business is really all about. You don't think, "Oh, I'm going to stop now." If you're doing the right thing and your business is doing the right thing, you just keep going. Evan, before we come back to all the great advice you've been giving, I just want to talk briefly, or want you to tell us about the next step in your business, because you're going into finance and stuff.
Yeah, look, we are. But I suppose before I get there, I just want to tell the listeners about something that happened during my life. In 1999, I had a heart attack and ended up in intensive care, and that was a little bit scary. But couple of weeks after that, or 6 or 8 weeks after that, I had to see a client who, and I've been really fortunate because I've had a lot of great people inspire me. And this was Nick Cambetsis, who, and I walked into his office, and Nick was a very successful property developer, owner. And he said to me, and he used to call me Mister, he said, "Oh, Mister, you had a heart attack." I said, "Yes." He said, "Mister, did you die?" I said, "No." And he said to me, "Let's get to work." And, guys like those sort of things, sort of inspire you because it means get over what happened. It's what's going to happen that matters.
Wow, that's good advice.
But when I was 15 going to work for the first time in my life, on the back of the bus tickets, they had these quotes.
Yes.
And on the back of this ticket, and I've never ever forgotten it, it said, "When you die, God's going to ask you one question. What'd you do with your talent?"
Yep.
And that has lived with me forever. And I ask myself, what do you do with your talent? So it's impossible for me to just sit there and go, well, here we are. Let's throw out the anchor and
retire
or live off the fat of the land or whatever.
Yeah.
So look, we've developed an insurance brokerage which turns over well over $50 million a year. We have a financial planning business as well, run by the lovely Jackie, who named her dog after me, Jackson. Awfully offensive.
Yeah.
And the next module that we're going to undertake is last week we purchased a existing finance brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that, because it serves two purposes. One, it gives us an existing base to talk to, and it means that the insurance business can talk to the finance business, and those clients can, the old terminology of cross-pollinate, if you recall.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. And again, I'm lucky I employed a young guy today, Peter Tassoni, who's an electrician by trade, and he's ventured off into finance brokering. And so hopefully as the business grows, he'll acquire ownership.
Yep.
So it's lovely that not only am I getting the opportunity to go into the field of finance brokering, but also that I can support a young, inspirational man with 3 young kids and a young wife. And
fantastic.
And that means a lot. That's just as important to me as doing the business, because doing the business is, I suppose, is a bit of fun, really, because we already have 6,000 clients in Guardian. So they're all going to a lot of them will buy a house. They'll need finance. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. They buy cars, whatever.
Yeah.
Cars, boats, caravans.
Yeah. But I will say something to the listeners, particularly the new people in business. Do not try and be everything to everybody.
Not to start with.
If you want to go, even after that, if you want to go broke, and if you think about a restaurant and it has this menu board that seems to go all the way around the room, just think, all those items that are on that menu, eventually, if they don't sell every item, they're going to throw away
some food.
Wastage. Target what you do well, offer what you do well, and everyone will appreciate what you do well.
Yep.
So don't. So
it's about packaging what you do.
Yeah. Look, and the reason why finance broking works in with us, because it's part of the financial services gig. If you call the great GFC, when that happened in 2008 or 4, it wasn't the banks that were in trouble. It was the insurance companies in trouble.
Yeah.
And the problem was, how does a bank operate without an insurance company?
Yeah.
Where do you get a loan on a house?
Yeah.
Without
insurance.
Yeah, because so it's important.
Yeah.
Is that it, is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Time flies, I tell you. Look, ladies and gentlemen, for everybody here in Adelaide or around Australia, if you need insurance, get hold of Guardian Insurance.
Just don't ring me.
Don't ring him. Ask for Evan Jackson. Tell him Peter sent you. But look, thank you so much, Evan. A real pleasure having you in here. I know that time's flown and we've just gone past the period that we need to talk for, but thank you so much. Ron, thank you again. And without Podcast City, this wouldn't be possible. But thank you so much to everybody that's listened to this program, everybody that's listening, and please keep sharing, keep liking, and please keep following. Thank you very much to all our followers, and look forward to talking to you again very, very soon. Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to Happy Business Radio with Peter Salerno. Make sure you tune in every Monday at 2 p.m. on Podcast City Radio. Don't forget to download our podcasts from wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you like, share, follow and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.